The moment the hood of the stalled car hissed open under the harsh midday sun, Miles Calder felt the familiar tightening in his chest that always came when fate nudged him without explanation. It was supposed to be an ordinary afternoon drive across the city, the kind where nothing important happens and time simply passes, but instead he found himself on the side of a busy road, grease already on his hands, staring at a stranger whose life was about to collide with his in the most unexpected way. He did not know yet that this woman, stranded and flustered, was the very person he had spent weeks dreading to meet, or that this small act of kindness would unravel years of guarded pain he thought he had buried for good. If you believe that kindness has the power to change lives and that second chances can arrive when we least expect them, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Shadowverse. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. Miles Calder was a single father who measured his days in practical units. Morning routines, school drop-offs, grocery lists, and the quiet ache of responsibility that never left his shoulders. His daughter, Nora, was 7 years old, bright-eyed, endlessly curious, and the center of his universe since the day her mother walked out and never came back. Miles worked as a maintenance supervisor at a local apartment complex, a job that paid modestly but kept food on the table and gave him something solid to hold on to. His life was not dramatic, not glamorous, and certainly not romantic. Romance, to him, felt like a luxury he could no longer afford, a risk that could disrupt the fragile stability he had built for Nora. The idea of a blind date had come from well-meaning coworkers who insisted that he needed to start living again. They told him that Nora needed to see her father happy, that loneliness had a way of settling into a person and never leaving if left unchallenged. Miles agreed half-heartedly, mostly to silence them, and accepted the date with a woman named Clara Wynne, whose name alone filled him with unease. She was described as accomplished, driven, and used to a lifestyle far removed from his own. The more he learned, the more he dreaded the meeting, imagining awkward silences and the inevitable realization that he was not enough. On the day of the date, Miles drove across town in the early afternoon to pick up Nora from a weekend art class before dropping her at his sister's place. The sun was high, the streets alive with movement, and his mind kept drifting to the evening ahead. He told himself it was just coffee, just an hour of polite conversation, but his stomach twisted with every mile. That was when he noticed the car pulled over ahead, hazard lights blinking like a quiet plea for help. A woman stood beside it, phone pressed to her ear, her shoulders tense as traffic rushed past. Miles slowed without thinking, the reflex of someone who fixed things for a living and believed that stopping was simply the right thing to do. He parked behind her, stepped out, and offered help with the calm assurance that came naturally to him. The woman looked relieved but embarrassed, clearly stressed by the situation. Her car had overheated, steam curling from under the hood like a warning. Miles assessed the problem quickly, fetching water from his trunk and loosening the cap with practiced care. As he worked, he noticed the way she hovered nearby, glancing at her watch, her frustration barely contained. She mentioned being late for something important, her words rushed, her anxiety evident in every movement. The midday heat bore down as Miles worked steadily, his hands moving on instinct. He thought about Nora, about how she loved watching him fix broken toys and leaky faucets, and how she believed her father could solve anything. That belief was what kept him going on days when exhaustion threatened to pull him under. Within minutes, he managed to stabilize the engine enough for the woman to drive safely to a nearby service station. He waved off any suggestion of payment, offering only a reminder to get it checked properly. The woman thanked him with genuine gratitude, her expression softening as relief replaced panic. She drove away, and Miles returned to his car, unaware that fate had just laughed quietly at his expense. The rest of the afternoon passed in a blur. Nora chattered excitedly about her paintings, her small hands gesturing wildly as she described colors and shapes. Miles listened, smiling, grounding himself in her joy. He dropped her off, hugged her tight, and promised to see her the next day. As he drove toward the cafe where the blind date was scheduled, his dread returned, heavier now that the moment was close. He rehearsed polite responses, reminded himself to be open-minded, and tried to lower his expectations to something manageable. The cafe was bright and airy, sunlight streaming through large windows and casting warm patterns on the floor. Miles arrived early, choosing a table near the window and ordering coffee to occupy his hands. His thoughts wandered back to the stranded woman from earlier, hoping she had made it safely. There was something about her that lingered in his mind, a quiet strength beneath the stress. He shook the thought away as footsteps approached, and he looked up. The woman standing before him was unmistakable. The same eyes, the same posture, now composed and polished but still carrying the echo of earlier vulnerability. Clara Wynne smiled politely, unaware of the storm of recognition crashing through Miles. His heart sank and raced all at once. This was her. The woman he had helped on the roadside was the blind date he had feared. For a moment, he considered standing up and leaving, convinced that the universe was playing a cruel joke. They sat together, the air between them charged with unspoken realization. Miles felt exposed, stripped of the protective distance he usually kept. Clara seemed equally surprised, her professional composure cracking just enough to reveal genuine emotion. As the afternoon light shifted, they began to talk, not in the stiff, rehearsed way Miles had anticipated, but with an unexpected ease. The shared experience had dismantled the walls before either of them realized it. Miles spoke about Nora, about the challenges of single parenthood, about the quiet sacrifices that defined his days. He did not embellish or downplay his life, he simply told the truth. Clara listened intently, her initial assumptions dissolving as she saw the depth of his dedication. She shared her own struggles, the pressure of expectations, the loneliness that success could not fill. The more they spoke, the more the labels they had assigned each other lost their meaning. Time passed unnoticed as sunlight gave way to softer hues. Miles felt something shift inside him, a loosening of the knot he had carried for years. He realized that his dread had not been about Clara specifically, but about the fear of being seen, of risking disappointment. Helping her earlier had reminded him of who he was beneath the weight of responsibility, a man capable of kindness without calculation. As the date came to an end, there was no grand revelation, no dramatic declaration, just a quiet understanding that something real had begun. Miles walked out of the cafe feeling lighter, the city around him bathed in the gentle glow of late afternoon. He thought about Nora, about the example he wanted to set for her, and about the possibility that opening his heart did not mean putting everything at risk. Near the end of this story, if you find yourself feeling a little softer, a little more hopeful, take a moment to engage with this video. Like it, share it, and let us know that stories of kindness and unexpected connections still matter. In the days that followed, Miles and Clara took things slowly. They met in daylight, in parks and coffee shops, weaving their lives together with care. Clara met Nora, not as a replacement or a solution, but as a presence willing to earn trust one moment at a time. Miles watched his daughter laugh and realized that love did not have to arrive perfectly formed, it could grow from small, sincere acts. Just before we reach the end, here is a special request for you. Please comment below and share the moment in this story that stayed with you the most. Your words help keep these stories alive. The afternoon Miles fixed a stranger's car became more than a coincidence. It became a reminder that the best moments often arrive disguised as inconveniences, that the people we fear meeting might be the ones who see us most clearly, and that kindness given freely can circle back in ways we never imagined. Under the steady light of day, Miles learned that second chances do not announce themselves loudly. They simply wait for us to stop, open the hood, and choose to help, even when we do not know what waits on the other side.